Namaste. Welcome back. It is Friday, February 10th. I happen to have the day off from work and had some things I wanted to share. Before we go any farther, though, let's chant the Gayatri mantra. Om Biva Sivaha Tat Savite Varenyam Bhago Jimahi Yo Yonaf Prachodayat. I would now like to read something from a book by my guru, Sri Dharma Acharya. The book is Living Dharma. The goal of your life should be to live in such a manner that the truth expresses itself through you in everything you speak, think, and do. Your desire should be to develop a love of God that is so great, so humble, that when someone looks upon you, they see not merely you, but all encompassing love. By your own living example, you should wish to teach, inspire, and guide others to that very same truth that has so graciously transformed you. In this way, be a blessing always upon the lives of all that you meet. Jai Shri Krishna. I want to talk today about something that is not Hindu particularly. It's inspired by Hinduism, but it's something I experienced. And those who watch this channel know that one thing I do is share my experiences. For you may have the same ones, or you may have questions, and I may have done something that can help you. And also, this experience, particularly one aspect of it, there's just not a lot out there. Just things that I want to inspire a conversation or start a conversation. So I want to talk today about polarity therapy. And I did a video on this a couple years ago on another channel. That channel was taken down, not by choice. China hacked my email and probably thought they were destroying my income by deleting the whole thing, but it was not monetized, and I actually was going to be deleting parts of it anyways. When I made the videos, though, I did them as for the reason I just said. I wanted to spark a conversation because when I went looking for information, I couldn't find anything, or it was all very promotional based and very ultra positive, and I never trust religious stuff that just is universally. I was thinking two words at the same time. Universally positive, because religion is not universally positive. It's got ups and downs and whatever. So I thought we would revisit the topic today. So the first part of this video, I'm going to be talking about polarity screens. And that's the part of the video that I was never able to find in the past. I never could find any negative stuff about polarity screens. So I want to share my experiences. And then in the second half, I want to talk about polarity therapy in a way that you might be more familiar with, which is through massage. I don't know if we call it polarity therapy massage, for lack of a better word, and my experience with that, and also with massage in general. Now, I have two very different points of view on these two topics. So check it out. Check out the whole thing. Don't skip forward. You'll see that I'm both enthralled and also a skeptic, and also, I hope, being honest. So, first of all, I said that, you know what, actually, this is live, and I don't like the lighting on this. I thought it looked good, but we're going to mess up the lighting here. There, that's a little bit better. This light, it's a weird one, and as I move, you can see that it changes, and it just annoys me. And since this is live, I didn't want to annoy you. Anyways, so polarity therapy, as I said, is not explicitly Hindu, though it draws upon ideas from Ayurveda. So a very brief history of polarity therapy, and this is probably isn't even close to it, but it's considered to be founded by a fellow named Randolph Stone, who died in 1981. Born in the 1800s, though, he was not an Australian. He was an Austrian, The website I found counted him as a physician, a philosopher, and a mystic visionary. And he came to America at the turn of the century. He supposedly learned English by reading the Bible, and he was a librarian for the Theosophical Society, which is going to tell you a lot if you know about them. The Theosophical Society, Madame Blavatsky, and many others, basically, in my mind, like they're the fathers of the New Age movement and mothers of the New Age movement. It basically stems from them, where they have this universalism approach that was in vogue, and they brought things together, and their ideas are actually now considered sort of often mundane or just sort of normal ideas, and we don't really know that they come from this particular group. I'm very distrustful of the Theosophical Society. I'm very open with that. I get very frustrated when I see it, people say, "Oh, well, this is a Hindu thing," but it comes directly out of the Theosophical Society, and there's no records of this thing in Hinduism at all. That bothers me because it's not correct history. That's for other videos that I'll be doing, though. But Randolph Stone was inspired by this group. He was inspired by the Bible, and he is in a world where things are being developed, such as the ideas of auras are being talked about. The idea of the law of attraction comes from the 1800s, matter of fact. Uh, the chakras are being discovered. What's happening is Christian missionaries are going to India and they're going to Asia, and they're translating these old Hindu texts, sometimes for the first time in English, and discovering things that the 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 Western, the European world had never heard of. So there's all these ideas in vogue. And Randolph Stone was more than just, I think, a mystic who created ideas. He was a doctor. And so he was into ayurveda and things like acupuncture and neuropathy and craniopathy. I just can't talk today. And he had degrees in chiropractic medicine and osteopathy and naturopathy, and he had a private practice. So he tried to bring together his medical background with these new ideas and work with them and develop them. In that way, I kind of give him a bit more credit than some other folks in the Theosophical Society, because he was, I believe, really trying to find the truth and trying to bring science and mysticism and religion together. Anyways, mid-century, he delves into Indian meditation and eventually develops what we now call as polarity therapy, which is your body has all these, I don't know, I'm just going to use the word rivers because my tongue seems to be tied today. Rivers of energy and things going through them. Circuit is the word that's often used. And polarity therapy is kind of a way of aligning that. So the first time I heard of polarity therapy was actually through my former guru, Adi Da Samraj. And this is the only Hindu connection explicitly in what I'm about to talk to you about. So Adi Da Samraj, uh, on his website, and it's still on the website, and I've linked down below to it, endorsed what was called polarity screens. They are very hard to find. They have not become popular. Might be because very, very few people make them, and they're going to put you back at least 100 something dollars. So it's not something everyone's going to want to invest in. I kind of believe that Adida saw these polarity screens and thought, oh, that's going to be something huge, and wanted to get in on the game. And so he started promoting them, but nobody else was. Everybody else was promoting things like The Secret or whatever. And that's a thing. These gurus often promote stuff that's popular to get them in the limelight. It is a fact. You can argue all day long that they don't, but honestly, it's hard to say that a ton of gurus all within the same 2 or 3 years all have the same revelation on some idea that's been around for a while. Like law of attraction has been around for a century, but only then after The Secret do all the gurus start promoting it. Yeah, it's questionable. And so, anyways, Adida endorsed these polarity screens. I saw them on his website, and I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. There's a booklet that comes with them that includes quotes from him and things he's written. And when I was involved in Adidam, and I was at one of the centers, and I saw the box of the screens there, and I was like, "Oh, wow!" So I asked a resident, "Have you ever used these?" "Oh my god, I saw these. This is kind of cool." And he goes, "Oh yeah, Adida endorses them. He says you should use them all the time." "Really? What's your experience with them?" I asked. The guy had used them once or twice, and that's it. He didn't even know if anyone else had touched them. And there was like 5 people in the building or 6 people in the building who lived there. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." It struck me as weird that people who live in a building, they are constantly surrounded by Adida. They follow every word of his, weren't following his word on these polarity screens and using them constantly. If they're so amazing, why would they be ignoring their guru's words? So that left a really weird feeling with me. Like, why aren't you using these? Your guru endorses them. Why? I mean, they seem to be very easy to use. They have 4 pieces. They have a flat, uh, like a matte background, and one goes over your head, and one goes behind your lower back, and then from those cords come out, and there's handles, and they complete the circuit in your body. You can do it while laying in bed, while watching TV or whatever. They seem so easy to use. Why aren't you using them? I didn't ask though, because I was new to the organization, and I would eventually get myself in trouble, but that's been talked about in other videos. And I got myself in trouble by asking questions. So I didn't. Fast forward, I don't know, 12 years. My ex-girlfriend had passed away. Our relationship had been garbage for a long time, and we had officially broken up, but she trashed her life from alcoholism and died at 33 years old. And in the wake of her death, I discovered she lived a double life. Actually a third double, triple life, quadruple life. She was a liar, and things that I thought had happened had been completely different according to emails I read by her. So I was in this weird place. My ex had died, who I'd come to hate. I had so much anger in me, and I was grabbing at anything I could find that would connect me with her, and I was having visions of her from the dead, which I will be talking about in a future video. She was asking me for her forgiveness so she could continue through her spiritual journey. I, at one point, discovered Ekankar. I was reading all sorts of different books. I was waving incense around the house. It was really crazy. And at one point, I thought, oh, those polarity therapy things, I think it's time that I try them. So I bought a pair. I don't have them anymore. That's why I'm not holding them up. And I tried them 5 times, and I made 5 videos that were all deleted. So I don't remember exactly what happened or exactly what I said in those 5 videos. This was 2019 that I did this, early 2019, between like February and let's say May or June. But I had, from what I can recall, the exact same response all 5 times using them. And I'd read the book Adida put out, and I read another book called Polarity Therapy that you can pick up on Amazon. They were both really interesting books. They both talked about polarity therapy. They talked about uh, Eeman, who created these screens that are also called Eeman screens. There is a link down below to him. He is a very interesting guy, kind of like Mr. Stone, Dr. Stone, who Randolph Stone, who invented polarity therapy or discovered it. There's a link down below also to Eeman's archives of all the stuff he wrote upon and got into. I don't know so much about him, but at the time I was reading a little bit to find out as much as I could about polarity therapy and the polarity screens. So, anyways, all 5 times I took these screens. It was after work. Sometimes it was immediately after work. Sometimes it was in the evening before I'd sit down and watch TV or something. Sometimes it was on a day off, and I'd put one behind my head, put one down below. I'd lay there. I did it once or twice on my bed, and then the other time sitting on a really long couch, which fit me. And I'm laying there with these polarity screens 5 times, and I'm not thinking anything. I don't remember if I was doing a chant, and I fell asleep almost instantly, pretty much every time, even though it wasn't really that comfortable. And I'd say I woke up maybe a half hour, 45 minutes later. And supposedly, according to the books that I've already mentioned on polarity screens, supposedly you wake up and if you fall asleep, you have it's just like an amazing, you're just waking up from a great feeling. If you haven't fallen asleep, there's a sense of refreshness that comes over you. I didn't feel that at all. I just felt groggy. I had nightmares 2 out of the 5 times using the polarity screens. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any waves of polarity or whatever happening. I do remember on the last time that I used the polarity screens, I switched them. So instead of holding like what would go to my head, I held in this hand, I held what went to my back. I switched the polarity. Supposedly you shouldn't do that because it brings in bad vibes, except for like 1% of the population that has a switched polarity. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the book says. So they say don't do that, but I was like, whatever. I've had nothing done. And I remember switching it and was like, yeah, nada. Now I've had people argue with me, well, you fell asleep, so that wasn't bad. The fact was I didn't really sleep these days. I was pretty numb due to the death and the revelations I was going through and anger, and I was having minor PTSD where I was angering and arguing with my girlfriend and going through things and just like reliving lots of horrible moments. And it was a really bad time up until about April when it was all purged from me. And I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't sleep. Do you know what it's like to sleep in a bed and next to you is, well, was the space where someone died? You can't. And everywhere in my house, I would see her. I was seeing ghosts, and I eventually moved. It was very traumatic. And I'd go into my office and I'd see things, and I'd put on clothing. I'm like, oh, she liked this. So it was horrible. So I didn't sleep. And I know for a fact I didn't eat so well. I never really have. I eat just enough to keep me going. So if I was doing things after work, I wasn't really well nourished. So laying in bed for 5 minutes, falling asleep actually has happened to me a lot. I have a history of falling asleep after work. Since that time, I've been doing better. But before then, I've never really been so healthy on some level. So to say, oh well, they put me asleep. Yeah, I had a job once for 9 months, and I basically fell asleep, every time I would come home on my keyboard, boom, right out within a half hour of getting home. The only times I didn't fall asleep is when I went someplace directly afterwards. I was actually studying Tai Chi at the time, and at first I would come home and I'd sit at my computer, and then I'd wake up realizing, "Oh, I missed the bus. I can't get to the Tai Chi now," so I just stopped going home. So I have a history of this, so I do not say that the polarity screens made me sleep. It just any position that I could knock out on and where I'm not distracted by. So I used these 5 times, and I had nothing happen to me at all, and I got rid of them. Now, that story counters 100% of things I've seen about polarity screens, and I've been on the internet. I looked them up at the time, and I never saw anything negative about them in any way, shape, or form, except for, as I mentioned earlier, how this guy in Adidam was like, "Yeah, they're really great, but I don't use them." Except for that, and I sometimes wonder if he was actually wanting to say, if he could have been honest, yeah, they don't work. They don't actually work. And Adidam wasn't really promoting them any. They were just on the website. Probably because they had a whole bunch they wanted to sell, but they weren't really being promoted. And you have to find them on the Don Horse Press website. There's a link down below, and I had to hunt for that. So it's really questionable that something that's so important isn't really being promoted and used. So I kind of wonder if maybe at the end of the day, they found that they didn't work either. And they just kind of like, okay, we'll put them on the website to sell them at some point, and it's a loss. Other than that, everything's been super positive. So now I'm going to say, why don't you down below put your story of using polarity screens? I have read that there's other versions of screens. I know people have made their own. I thought about making my own at one point, but I'm like, I just buy them. And then when they didn't work, I was glad I didn't make my own. I think there's polarity blanket or something. I've seen things where there's like 3 or 4 screens used. There's different variations, and I would love your thoughts down below. I might be the one person in the world who had no experience and just I was so zonked out in my life they didn't work. Perhaps. Let's talk about it. I'd like to now switch gears though and talk about polarity therapy massage. And I'm going to give it away right now. It was the complete opposite experience. Oh my God, it was an awesome experience. It was amazing. It was so the opposite, which is probably why I was excited. I had the massage experience before the screen, so I was really excited to get the screens. And then it just didn't work. So, my history of normal massage, I just want to give very briefly. Uh, I I've walked all my life. Up until like a year or two ago, I didn't own a car except for like 6 months out of 6 months to a year. I walk, take buses, subways, wherever I've lived. It's very normal for me in my background to walk 2 or 3 miles home from work, school, wherever. I'd be like, yeah, I can get there faster than the bus can. I just go. I walked all my life. I used to walk an hour home from work every day for what, 7 years. Every day I'd walk an hour home and I'd walk an hour to work because the bus would take an hour and a half to go 4 miles, an hour and a half. And if the bridge was up, forget about it. And I would get in late. So it's like, yeah, I'll just walk. So I've always walked. I used to walk an hour and a half, not an hour and a half, a mile and a half from the grocery store carrying stuff until eventually I got a bicycle and I put baskets on it. And I wouldn't even be able to ride the bike. I just have to pull it along up a hill, mile and a half. That's me. But man, that wears out your legs really bad, particularly when you don't necessarily eat well or whatever, and you're not a physically active person. And I taught kindergarten for 3 years, and you do standing all day in a classroom of 30 kids bouncing around, and then an after school class, and then walking home 3 miles. I would get to a point after a month or so, I would not be able to stand up. I seriously would not be able to stand up. My legs would kill me. I'd feel like I needed a cane. And I'd had this throughout my life. And I've tried, $500 orthopedic shoes. I wore boots for a long time because I have no arch. And so the boots kind of helped a lot. I've done all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, my legs always killed me. And so someone said to me I should get a foot massage because he liked foot massages. And I looked at it. I'm like, nah, I'm thinking to myself, I think you just go and get those because it's pretty girls who run it. I'm not interested. I don't want to do that. The pretty girls are fine, but I don't want to pay $30 just to look at girls. It's worthless. But I ended up kind of inspired by that, so I went and found a place that did shiatsu massage. And it was this older woman, because they always recommend use an older woman. The joke being that she's had a lot of kids, so she's used to slapping them around, and thus she has a fierce grip, and that's what I wanted. And I went in, and I said, this is the problem, and this is the problem, and it hurts here. And she had me change into some clothes, and she came in and stretched my body in ways I don't know why she didn't break bones. I was being pulled and twisted, and my knee was up here, and I had, oh my, 30 minutes of having my body move in ways that I did not know was humanly possible. And you know what? I had walked into that place totally unsure what I was walking into. You hear all these things about sex and whatever, so you have all this bad notions about something that's very not sexual and very legit. I was in Japan, so they didn't speak English there. They had to give me a piece of paper with the parts of the body, and I would circle where it hurt because they couldn't get it, and I couldn't tell them. I was really afraid, and I walked in literally feeling like I was a 70 or 80-year-old man needing a wheelchair. 30 minutes later, I walked out of there ready to run a marathon, ready to play a baseball game and have home run after home run and just run, run, run. Oh my God, I felt better than I ever had. It was truly amazing. Truly amazing. I'm going to take a drink right now. Hang on. Just unbelievable. So I started doing that frequently. Every couple months, I would go back and just say, "Hey, just tear into my body. I just need it." And I always felt amazing. And this was about 2 years. I don't know how many massages I did in that time, maybe 6 or 7. Always, always amazing. I did end up going to another place once, and it was just sort of like, kneading, back press, and it was just like, no, wasn't good. This place was also, as I said, was in Japan, so it was very Buddhist and spiritual, and I really liked that. I've never been to like a more medical focused, like a sports massage place, but for 2 years, I survived with these massages. This little old lady somewhere in Osaka, Japan, you healed me wherever you are in this world, or if you're still alive. Anyways, I got back to America and started different jobs, continued to walk, and then just never went back to a massage parlor again, even though periodically my legs would hurt, but I just wouldn't do anything about it. Uh, for some reason, I forget why. It was before my girlfriend passed. As I said at the beginning of this, I had just worn myself out. I was just walking, and I think the stress of our relationship and everything had just worn my legs out. And it was so bad. It was like Japan. And I'm like, no, I got to go back. I haven't been to a massage therapist in forever, but I got to go back. Ironically, my cousin was in South Portland and is a massage therapist and here in Maine. And so I called her up. I said, "Would you mind seeing a relative, kind of naked? And would you mind helping me?" And sure, sure, come on over. We'd never actually met face to face. So this was like really weird for me. And if she had said no, that would be totally fine. Um, but I trusted her and she's legit and has this great background in this little studio. Now, I won't name her studio because I don't know if she wants me to promote her without her knowledge, but also I doubt very many of you are in South Portland, Maine. So I know I have one viewer who's in Arizona. I don't think you're going to get on a plane, come all the way out here. And last I knew, because my fiance was looking for a massage therapist, I reached out to my cousin and she's like, "I can't help you. I am booked with regulars. I have built up such a nice business that I have got all the regulars I need. And I just can't take any more people. When I was taking a lot of people, I physically hurt myself. And now I'm just in this just great place." And this is post COVID too. So that is wonderful for her because that's every person's dream business, and that she found what she wanted and what she could do, and her business, blossomed. But she doesn't need me to advertise for her. I'm just going to say, though, she's amazing. And if she should see this and wants me to put her name down below and a link to her website, I will. And if you're here, you should absolutely check her out. She's unbelievable. Anyways, I went to her for a massage. And yes, she's my cousin. Yes, I could be saying great things about her, but I'm going to be honest. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a little bit blunt. And she was awesome. She was absolutely awesome. I am not lying. It's one of the best massages. It was an hour and it was so good. I would have paid her double what she asked. I loved it. It was so good. It was like the first time I had one. I'm not just saying that. I absolutely mean it. She is top notch. And I think she even said, like, "Yeah, I'm not used to doing like hard leg massages." I'm like, "Yeah, do what you can do." It was phenomenal. It relaxed me, and I tend to be a kind of a high-strung person. It was awesome, but it was really interesting because it felt like she broke my body up. It was just like she tore all of it apart and put it back together like a puzzle. It was sort of like I had I was a puzzle, but pieces had fallen out, pieces were in the wrong place, things were just poorly put together, and she just threw all the pieces up in the air, let them fall, and then put all the pieces back together. It felt so amazing. She did such an amazing job. But it was weird because I felt a little off afterwards. I felt amazing, like I had been put back together, but I felt I needed a follow-up. And I didn't just want to go back for a massage. I decided to go back and do her other thing of polarity therapy. And I told her, like, I have no idea what this is. Just do what you do. Just whatever. And I'm chatty normally. And at one point, I forget what she said to me. I think maybe it wasn't until afterwards she was a little worried because she'd give me the massage and I just still chat away. That's just me. It doesn't mean I'm not relaxed. I'm just naturally talkative. Uh, but I had completely shut up at one point. I was just gone because she was just like doing her thing on my body. And I was like, I was gone. And anyone who knows me knows that if I have no words, that's it. You've done it. You've achieved something. It was so amazing, this polarity therapy, because she touched like one part of my body, but I would feel it someplace else. And she'd do this and twist this. And like, why are my toes, feeling weird when she's touching my elbow? I mean, I don't know what she did. I think she may have had some stones or crystals too she was waving around. I don't remember. It was such an amazing feeling that I honestly had never felt before. This weird connectivity circuit, as I said in the beginning, this rivers of energy. It was so mind-boggling, unbelievably mind-boggling. I went to work and I told a coworker about this, and she's like, "Yeah, I have this done all the time." And she goes, "Yeah, their massage is one thing, but this is a whole other thing." You know how I said she destroyed the puzzle that I was and put the pieces back together? I felt like the polarity therapy was she was spraying on the clear glue that you put on a puzzle to preserve it, and then she put me the puzzle in a frame so we could keep that puzzle preserved. That's what I felt like she was doing. She put the puzzle together, but now she was just doing this polarity thing, and I had a nice frame and I was like preserved and we were going to look. I was just it was an unbelievable experience. Absolutely unbelievable experience. And as I said, and I'm very open with my bias, she's my cousin, but I probably wouldn't even mention her name if it was just a disaster. Uh, I just wouldn't say anything about the relationship if it was just really bad. But the fact is I'm letting you know I'm biased, but I'm still raving about what she did. Now I ended up never going back to her. It just money ended up becoming something I didn't have with my ex who drank literally everything away, even our laundry quarters. Get enough of those and you've got a beer. And there was no money and I couldn't. And then it just whatever happened and life happened and I never went back to her and I've never seen any other polarity therapy things to compare. But when I saw the polarity screens, I was really excited. But I'd have nothing. Nothing would happen from those. But my experience with a polarity therapy massage was unbelievable, out of this world, and I cannot recommend it enough. Now, if you have experience with polarity therapy massage, I would love to hear about it. Good or bad, positive or not. Let others see this and go, "Oh, yeah, hey, Aaron has experienced that and I'll have to check it out." Or maybe, "Oh, this person in the comments, they don't recommend it." I'd love to have that feedback of experience you've had with someone doing things to your body or, massage in general, whatever. Now, I'm will conclude on this thought. Anyone who watches this channel knows that I am a Hindu through and through. I am a Vaishnava. My Lord is a blue god named Krishna. I follow the I was trained under I got my learning, you could say, under ISKCON and Swami Prabhupada and the Hare Krishna movement, though I'm not a part of it. Eventually I moved kind of over to the tradition of Ramanuja. I can never pronounce his name. And my guru is Sri Dharma Acharya of Dharma Nation and the International Sanatana Dharma Society. I also consider myself a part of the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. I have discovered the Shikshapatri, and that is a great book. And he is also under the Ramanuja tradition. So that is where I stand. And I'm very open by saying that I have basically gotten rid of everything in my life that is New Age, that is not Hindu, that is not scriptural, that is not authentic, that is not traditional. I just very much am focused on the Vedic Hindu Sanatana Dharma path. And if it's theosophical, I'm not interested. If it's Buddhist, I'm not interested. I am religious but not spiritual, the opposite of the common phrase. I'm very much devoted to this traditional path. I watched a 2-hour satsang the other day from Swaminarayan Temple. 2 hours. And it was in foreign language for most of it. I still watched it. That's my God. So I often speak a little bit hesitantly on New Age stuff and pseudoscience stuff. I'm very push and pull on that. If you have experience with it, great. I have had experience with it, but at this point in my life, I'm just going to a very traditional path. Yet, my experience with polarity therapy, even if it's pseudoscience, I don't call it New Age, I call it more pseudoscience because it draws upon Ayurveda and other things. I absolutely endorse this and checking it out. Massage too. I do believe there is some things talked about in Ayurveda that are massage related and probably polarity therapy, though under a different name, but I've not done my research. If you have, let me know the link between polarity therapy and Hinduism. I do believe there is something there though. So even though basically what I'm trying to say is I totally endorse this, even though polarity therapy is not a traditional thing. It's not a Sanatana Dharma thing, particularly, though it may draw upon that. And I just tend to encourage people to go more traditional. That's just me these days. But this is something that I just have had such a great experience with. And I guess you could say it's the exception to my rule. It's got one foot in both camps, but you know what? It's just been such a great thing. As I said, I don't know the history of massage in Ayurveda, but I'm pretty sure there's something in there. I'd be shocked if there wasn't. I don't know. Links down below. Fill me in on the information. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to contribute to the conversation on polarity screens. And again, as I said, I might be the only person who's had a negative experience with them. I got that. And I'm not going to buy another pair. They were too much money. And to try again, my apologies. If you want me to, it's not going to happen. But I have had a great experience with polarity therapy massage. And I would do that again in a heartbeat. That was amazing. So that being said, it's your turn. I want to open the door to you. I would love your feedback. If you have used polarity screens, do a video on it. Because when I did it, there wasn't anything out there and I wanted to know people's feedback and there wasn't any feedback. So please put some videos on your YouTube channel about what you've done with these or you've done with polarity therapy, whatever. Let's start a conversation here. And I think that is a good place to end this live stream. And I'm just going to say thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos. Every week I do a live talk on current events and religion and this and that. Who knows what I might want to talk about? Sometimes it's more traditional. Sometimes it's just responding to something that's happening in the news. While on my main channel, I'm reading the Hindu scriptures. Every other day is a new video of some Hindu scripture. As of this recording, I'm working through book 3 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is just an unbelievable book. Everybody should read it. And so check that out. This channel goes out live first on YouTube and then is duplicated on BitChute as a podcast on Anchor Podcasts. And then also you can watch the videos on Spotify. So check me out on all those things. If you want to support the channel, I have a link down below to my website. I'm a writer. You can pick up my books. Also, email me. Reach out to me. Find me on Facebook. Would love to communicate with you. And that is a great place to end this. So thank you for hanging out with me and watching this. And until next time, take care of yourself. I look forward to your feedback. Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Swaminarayan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.